When you start reading the New Testament, it is naturally assumed that King Herod was present around the time of Jesus' birth. However, Herod was not of pure Jewish lineage, nor was he of the line of David. This time, I would like to explore the family of Herod, several members of whom appear in the Bible.
The Bible states that there are 14 generations from Babylon to Christ. The king mentioned during the Babylonian captivity in the Bible is Jeconiah. In the book of Jeremiah, he is called Coniah, and in the books of Kings, Coniah is referred to as Jehoiakim. It is believed that Jeconiah in Matthew is the Greek reading of Coniah. However, beyond the Babylonian captivity, we cannot identify the royal family members without biblical records. The names Zerubbabel appear in the books of Ezra and Nehemiah. According to Matthew, Zerubbabel was a descendant of the royal family, who played a significant role in the reconstruction of Jerusalem upon returning 70 years after the Babylonian captivity. However, the names of subsequent royal family members are not preserved in the Bible, so we must refer to Matthew's genealogy.
Jesus was born as the son of Joseph, a descendant of David. So why was Herod able to become king even though he was not a descendant of David?
In Protestant churches, the Old Testament ends with the book of Malachi. There is a gap of about 400 years between Malachi and Matthew. In the Catholic Church, the books of Maccabees are recognized as canonical, providing insight into what happened during those 400 years. The Hasmonean dynasty mentioned in the books of Maccabees came to hold the throne of Judea. Antipater, a man who served as a close aide to the Hasmonean dynasty, was the father of King Herod. He was an Idumean, and Idumea is the Greek name for Edom, which appears in the Old Testament. Since the king of Judea was traditionally supposed to be of Davidic lineage, it was unusual for an Edomite to become king of Judea. Herod's father gained the trust of Julius Caesar, and was appointed to govern the region of Galilee.
King Herod was able to become king of Judea by marrying a daughter of the Hasmonean royal family. Herod, being an Edomite, convinced the Jews by emphasizing that his wife was of royal lineage.
King Herod was conscious of the fact that he was an Edomite. He feared that a legitimate descendant of David might claim the throne, and cause him to lose his position. Although Herod married a daughter of the Hasmonean family, he killed members of the Hasmonean family to ensure that no successors would emerge from them. Herod could not become a Roman governor and was thus at odds with Pilate. He had strong ties with the Roman Senate, and paid large sums of money to ensure he could continue as king of Judea. Herod executed not only members of the Hasmonean family, but also anyone within his own Herodian family who threatened his position.
Herod was a highly suspicious man, always wary of being targeted by someone. His palace was built on a cliff and constructed like a fortress. It is recorded that later, when the Jews revolted against Rome, they fled and held out in this fortress.
Herod's inferiority complex as an Edomite was always present, and he was desperate to gain the favor of the Jewish people. A prime example of this was the massive renovation of the temple. By the time Jesus saw the temple under renovation, nearly 40 years had passed since the project began. This indicates that the renovations had started before Jesus was born. Additionally, the Bible records that when Jesus was born, a group of astrologers from the east appeared, and asked where the king of Israel had been born. This statement made Herod, who had killed many to protect his throne, shudder. It is believed that the foreign astrologers appeared to have Jewish features. They were also well versed in the scriptures and knew about the birth of the Messiah.
Herod ordered the massacre of children under 2 years old based on the time the astrologers had seen the star. He calculated that they had been traveling for nearly 2 years and suspected that the Messiah might have been born on the day they first saw the star. In reality, Jesus was born just a few days before the astrologers arrived in Jerusalem.
According to the Bible, Jesus escaped Herod's massacre, and sought refuge in Egypt, staying there until Herod's death. Herod died while Jesus was still a child. However, the Gospel of Matthew states that upon hearing that Herod's son Archelaus was ruling Judea, Jesus' family moved to the region of Galilee. Archelaus had a terrible reputation and massacred Jews, leading to his dethronement by Rome. The parable in Luke chapter 19, where a nobleman entrusts his servants with minas and goes on a journey, is thought to refer to Archelaus. This interpretation is supported by the line, "The people hated him and sent a delegation after him to say, 'We don't want this man to be our king,'" which accurately describes the contemporary sentiment towards Archelaus. Archelaus' reign was very short, and he was succeeded by his brother Antipas as the ruler. Antipas is the one who executed John the Baptist. The Bible mentions that Antipas himself wanted to meet John the Baptist, listened to his words, and enjoyed hearing them. However, John the Baptist pointed out that it was not right for Antipas to have taken his brother Philip's wife as his own. It was actually Herodias who held a grudge against John the Baptist. She had her daughter dance, and as a reward, demanded the head of John the Baptist. Although Antipas was reluctant to kill John, he had to fulfill his promise.
Jesus was aware of this, and he also knew that Antipas was plotting to kill him next. When the Pharisees informed Jesus of this, he said, "Go tell that fox," referring to Antipas as a fox. Antipas also met Jesus. This happened when Pilate sent Jesus to Antipas, considering it a matter related to Jewish law.
King Agrippa was the king during the time of Paul, primarily mentioned in the Acts of the Apostles. Herod Agrippa and Herod Antipas were nephew and uncle. The Roman governor Festus received a visit from Agrippa, and they met with Paul. During this meeting, Felix was also present, and they all listened to Paul speak about Jesus. Agrippa was familiar with Jewish customs and the rumors about Jesus, and he showed some understanding of Paul's words. However, Agrippa told Paul, "Do you think that in such a short time you can persuade me to be a Christian?" Indicating that he could not suddenly profess belief in Christ.
After meeting with Paul, Agrippa told Festus, this man could have been set free if he had not appealed to Caesar. Agrippa seemed to believe that Paul should not be imprisoned or punished. Among the Herodian family, only Antipas and Agrippa showed interest in Jesus and came to know part of the gospel. In the Bible, the names of 4 Herodian kings are mentioned, each reigning during significant events: Jesus' birth, his miracles, his crucifixion, and his resurrection. Although the Bible does not state whether they came to believe in Jesus, their lineage ended when the Jewish war broke out, leading to the destruction of Jerusalem and the Temple, and the downfall of the Herodian dynasty. This concludes the consideration of Herod. Thank you for watching until the end. If you liked it, please subscribe to the channel.